First contact and fatal miscalculation. Commander Vexthor stood at the bridge of the HFY flagship, his iridescent scales reflecting the pale blue glow of Earth on the view screen. Behind him, dozens of biotechnology specialists worked at their stations, monitoring the deployment of what they believed would be their most elegant conquest yet. Status report on Operation Severed Bond, he commanded, his voice carrying the distinctive metallic resonance of the HFY elite. Phase 1 proceeding as calculated. Commander, Senior Bioweapons Specialist Naira, responded, her clawed fingers dancing across holographic displays. The genetic disruptors are dispersing through Earth's atmosphere exactly as modeled. Within hours, every vertebrate species should begin experiencing severe cognitive disruption, breaking their primitive social bonds. The HFY had conquered 17 worlds before Earth, but none had presented such an intriguing challenge. Earth's biosphere was remarkably interconnected, with humans maintaining complex relationships with countless other species. Breaking these bonds was deemed essential for a clean conquest. Fascinating creatures, these humans, Vexthor mused, studying the live feeds from their stealth drones. They actually share their dwellings with other species. Keep them as pets. Such sentiment will be their undoing. But as the hours passed, something unprecedented began to occur. The first signs appeared in a small farm in Kansas, where a border collie named Max suddenly sat down beside his human and spoke in perfect English. "Sarah, I think we're being attacked," Max said to his shocked owner. "There's something in the air, trying to change us. But it's not working the way they intended." Similar scenes played out across the globe. In the Amazon rainforest, entire primate communities began organizing with military precision. Off the coast of Japan, pods of dolphins started coordinating with fishing vessels, using complex sonar patterns that human instruments could now mysteriously decode. In the HFY command center, alarms began blaring. "Commander." Naira's usual composure shattered as she stared at her readings. "The genetic disruptors. They're not severing the bonds between species. They're enhancing them. The bioweapon is acting as a universal translator and cognitive accelerator." Vexthor's scales shifted to a pale green of concern. "Impossible. Show me the data." The holographic displays told a story that defied their centuries of biological warfare experience. Earth's animals weren't turning against humans or each other. Instead, their intelligence was rapidly expanding while maintaining their existing loyalties. The HFY's fundamental assumption, that Earth's species could be turned against each other, had catastrophically backfired. In Central Park, New York, pigeons began forming aerial reconnaissance networks, coordinating with squirrels who established secure communication lines through the tree canopy. At the San Diego Zoo, an elderly gorilla named Winston called an emergency meeting with his keepers, outlining defensive strategies that left military advisors speechless. "We need to abort the operation," Naira insisted, her scales now showing patterns of acute distress. "We cannot predict how this enhancement will propagate through their ecosystem." But it was already too late. In the depths of Earth's oceans, whales were organizing into living sonar networks, mapping the locations of every cloaked HFY vessel. In the skies, migratory birds began coordinating global response patterns that no human military could have conceived. The HFY had inadvertently created something unprecedented in the galaxy, a planet where every species could now communicate, coordinate, and fight as one. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, leading xenobiologist at the United Nations Emergency Response Team, stared at her monitors in amazement as data poured in from around the world. "It's like they gave every species on Earth a universal translator and an intelligence boost," she explained to the hastily assembled crisis committee. "But instead of causing chaos, it's creating the most sophisticated defensive network imaginable." In orbit, Commander Vexthor received the first of many disturbing reports. A stealth scout ship had been disabled near the Great Barrier Reef, apparently by a coordinated effort between dolphins, octopi, and sea turtles. Another had been forced to surface in the Arctic when whales targeted its propulsion systems with precisely focused sonar pulses. "This is unprecedented," he admitted, watching as his invasion force began to encounter resistance from directions they had never considered possible. "We assumed their biodiversity was a weakness to exploit. Instead, we've armed every living thing on the planet against us," Naira finished, her scales now showing the deep blue of profound revelation. "Commander, we haven't just failed to sever their bonds. We've given Earth something that's never existed before: a unified biosphere." As the sun set on the first day of the invasion, humans around the world were coming to terms with their new reality. Their animals hadn't just remained loyal. They had become full partners in Earth's defense. Dogs organized neighborhood watch networks. Cats established covert intelligence operations. Even insects began forming sophisticated information-gathering swarms. The Zixthay's greatest weapon had become Earth's greatest gift. Their attempt to divide and conquer had instead united Earth's biosphere in ways previously confined to human fiction. As Commander Vexthor would later report to the High Command, "We didn't just fail to break their bonds. We gave them the means to forge them stronger than ever before. And this was only the beginning." The morning after first contact dawned with a world forever changed. In London's Trafalgar Square, a pigeon named Charlie perched on the shoulder of Metropolitan Police Chief Inspector Margaret Wells, providing real-time updates about suspicious activities across the city. "3 cloaked alien scouts moving through Westminster," Charlie reported, his previously simple bird brain now processing complex tactical information. "The ravens at the Tower of London are coordinating with local foxes to track their movements." Inspector Wells nodded, still adjusting to this new reality. "To think, just yesterday I was shooing you lot away from my lunch." "To be fair," Charlie replied with unexpected wit, "your sandwiches were always particularly appealing. But not all reactions to the Great Awakening were so smooth." At the Pentagon, General Sarah Hammond found herself in a heated debate with a German shepherd from the K9 unit. "With all due respect, General," Rex argued, his tactical analysis surprisingly sophisticated, "conventional military formations won't work against their technology. We need to leverage what they've accidentally given us: the entire planet's biosphere as one interconnected defense network." The general rubbed her temples. "Rex, I've been leading military operations for 20 years. And I've been reading body language and detecting threats since I was a puppy," Rex interrupted. "Now I can explain what I've always known instinctively. The Zixthay aren't expecting resistance from below their sight lines. The rats, the insects, even the bacteria, they've all gained consciousness. We need to think smaller." In orbit, the Zixthay were discovering just how catastrophic their miscalculation had been. Commander Vexthor received increasingly desperate reports from his ground forces. "Sir, Squad 7 lost contact near the Amazon rainforest," a communications officer reported. "Their last transmission mentioned something about coordinated attacks from tree frogs and butterflies." Naira, the bioweapons specialist, had been analyzing the evolving situation. "The enhancement is more profound than we initially realized. Earth's species aren't just gaining intelligence, they're sharing knowledge. A butterfly knows what a whale knows. A dog understands what an eagle sees. They're becoming a unified intelligence network while maintaining their individual specialties." In the Indian Ocean, Dr. Elena Rodriguez had established the first formal human-dolphin joint command center aboard the research vessel Nautilus. Mariko, a bottlenose dolphin who had previously participated in marine mammal research, now served as the chief coordinator for oceanic defense. "Our deep-sea networks have identified 23 Zixthay submarines attempting to approach major coastal cities," Mariko reported through a newly developed interface. "The whales are jamming their sensors, and we've got octopi teams ready to infiltrate their hulls through the filtration systems." Dr. Rodriguez marveled at the sophistication of their operations. "How are you coordinating across such vast distances?" "The coral reefs," Mariko explained. "They're slow thinkers, but they've become living communication nodes. Every polyp is now part of a vast information network. The Zixthay gave us the tools to turn Earth's entire biosphere into one giant neural network. In Africa's Serengeti, the transformation had taken an even more remarkable turn. Elephant matriarch Maya, her intelligence now matching her species' legendary memory, had organized a continent-wide resistance network. Zebra herds served as mobile reconnaissance units, while lions and hyenas, ancient rivals now working in perfect coordination, formed rapid response teams. The old conflicts seem so primitive now, Maya observed to Dr. James Chen, a UNESCO wildlife coordinator. We understand now that our ecosystem's diversity is its strength. The Zixthay thought they could use our differences against us. Instead, they helped us transcend them. Back in orbit, Commander Vexthor faced an increasingly untenable situation. How do you fight an enemy that has turned every living thing into an ally? He demanded, his scales shifting through patterns of frustration and disbelief. Commander, Naira interjected, her own scales showing the deep purple of scientific fascination. I don't think we understand what we've actually created. The genetic enhancement isn't just affecting individual species, it's creating something entirely new. Earth's biosphere is becoming a single coordinated entity. As if to prove her point, reports flooded in from around the globe. In Australia, kangaroos were carrying tactical equipment for human resistance fighters. In the Arctic, polar bears worked with seals to protect crucial shipping lanes. Even the insects, from massive ant colonies to solitary spiders, had become part of Earth's unified defense network. At the United Nations, an emergency session had to be relocated to Central Park to accommodate representatives from dozens of species. A crow named Alexander, speaking on behalf of the newly formed Avian Defense Coalition, summed up the situation. Yesterday, we were separate species sharing a planet. Today, we are Earth's immune system, and we will not let these invaders threaten our home. The Great Awakening was complete. Earth had become something unprecedented in the galaxy. A world where every species could think, communicate, and fight as one. And the Zixthay were about to learn just how formidable such a world could be. Deep beneath the streets of Tokyo, in an abandoned subway tunnel converted into an emergency command center, an unlikely war council was in session. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, head of Japan's cybersecurity division, found herself sharing strategy discussions with a macaque monkey named Hiroshi and a particularly articulate honeybee queen who called herself Echo. The Zixthay's ground forces are struggling with our guerrilla tactics, Hiroshi reported, manipulating a holographic map with surprisingly dexterous fingers. But their orbital advantage remains a critical threat. Echo's swarm projected itself into a complex three-dimensional pattern above the map. My colonies have infiltrated their ground bases worldwide. Every bee, ant, and beetle has become a surveillance device. We know their weaknesses now. Their biotech armor, Dr. Tanaka observed. It's vulnerable to specific viral strains, isn't it? The bee swarm pulsed in agreement. We've already begun cultivating modified bacteria in partnership with termite colonies. Nature's smallest warriors are about to become their biggest nightmare. Meanwhile, in the depths of the Pacific Ocean, a remarkable partnership had developed. A sperm whale named Thunder led a pod of orcas in escorting a nuclear submarine through enemy waters. Their enhanced intelligence had allowed them to master the complexities of sonar warfare, creating sound patterns that rendered Zixthay detection systems useless. Multiple bogies, 2 o'clock deep, Thunder communicated through the newly developed marine interface. Octopus strike team moving to intercept. Captain Lisa Chen of the U.S. Nautilus watched in amazement as a group of giant Pacific octopi, their chromatophores now capable of perfectly mimicking Zixthay tech signatures, disabled an enemy patrol craft by infiltrating its external vents. I never thought I'd say this, she radioed to command, but the cephalopods really deserve a combat medal after this mission. In orbit, Commander Vexthor's situation was deteriorating rapidly. His scaled skin had taken on the pale yellow hue of mounting anxiety as reports continued to flood in. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "we've lost contact with another ground base. The humans aren't even the primary combatants anymore. Their modified insects are dismantling our technology from the inside out." Naira, who had been studying the evolving situation with growing fascination, finally spoke up. "Commander, we need to accept that we've created something unprecedented. Earth's biosphere isn't just fighting back. It's evolving faster than our systems can adapt." In the Amazon rainforest, this evolution had taken an extraordinary turn. A network of fungal mycelia, their consciousness awakened by the sixth eye's enhancement, had become a living internet spanning the entire forest. Jaguar patrols coordinated with harpy eagles through this ancient information highway, while poison dart frogs developed increasingly sophisticated biochemical weapons in symbiosis with the enhanced fungi. Dr. Maria Santos, leading a research team deep in the jungle, marveled at the complexity of the resistance. "Every species has found its role," she noted in her field journal. "The sloths, once considered the laziest creatures, have become perfect stealth observers. Their slow movement patterns are completely invisible to sixth eye motion sensors." At the North Pole, another remarkable alliance had formed. Polar bears, their intelligence now matching their physical prowess, worked alongside Arctic foxes and snowy owls to protect crucial strategic locations. Their white fur, combined with newly developed tactics, made them invisible to alien thermal imaging. "The ice itself has become our ally," explained Frost, a massive polar bear commanding the Arctic Defense Network. "The sixth eye don't understand how to fight in these conditions. Every snowflake is now a potential sensor, every ice crystal a data point." But perhaps the most surprising development came from the world's domestic animals. Dogs and cats, their millennia-old partnership with humans enhanced beyond all recognition, had become the perfect bridge between species. In suburban neighborhoods worldwide, pet cats coordinated vast intelligence networks while dogs organized local defense forces. Luna, a seemingly ordinary house cat in Seattle, had become one of the Resistance's most effective intelligence officers. "We've always watched humans," she explained to a joint military council. "Now we can understand and share everything we observe. No sixth eye agent can move without being tracked by 1,000 feline eyes." Even the rats, long considered vermin, had become invaluable allies. Their enhanced intelligence turned city sewers and subway systems into secure communication networks. In New York, a rat leader named Whiskers had organized a complex underground railroad, moving crucial supplies and intelligence past sixth eye patrols. As the third week of the invasion drew to a close, Earth had transformed into something the galaxy had never seen before, a planet where every species, from the largest whale to the smallest bacterium, fought as one unified force. The sixth eye's attempt to disrupt Earth's ecosystem had instead created a defensive network of unprecedented complexity and resilience. "We thought we were targeting their weakness," Commander Vexthor admitted to his war council, his scales now showing the deep green of dawning comprehension. "Instead, we've awakened their greatest strength. Earth isn't just a planet. It's becoming a single, living superorganism." And as night fell over each time zone, millions of species prepared for the next phase of resistance, their enhanced minds working in perfect harmony toward a single goal, showing the sixth eye exactly why you don't mess with Earth's biosphere. The morning of humanity's first coordinated counteroffensive began with a seemingly insignificant event, a ladybug landing on a sixth eye sensor array in Nevada. What the aliens didn't realize was that this particular insect carried a payload of microscopic, intelligence-enhanced bacteria, specifically engineered by Earth's newly awakened microbiome. Within hours, similar attacks were happening at every sixth eye installation worldwide. Commander Vexthor, monitoring from orbit, remained unaware that his empire's greatest defeat was beginning at the microscopic level. "Something's corrupting our biotechnology," reported his chief engineer, scales flickering with alarm patterns. "The local microorganisms, They're communicating with our systems somehow. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, now coordinating with a global network of enhanced species from a hidden facility in the Andes, allowed herself a small smile as the reports came in. Beside her, a condor named Sierra monitored aerial reconnaissance feeds through their newly developed neural interface. Phase 1 is proceeding exactly as planned, Sierra announced. The bacterial strike teams are compromising their biotech defenses. Shall we begin Phase 2? Dr. Rodriguez nodded. Signal the oceanic forces. In the depths of every ocean, whales began broadcasting specific frequencies that seemed random to human ears. But these sounds carried complex coded instructions to millions of marine species. Swarms of enhanced plankton, directed by dolphin commanders, began infiltrating Zixthay vessels' water filtration systems. Captain Lisa Chen, still coordinating with Thunder and his pod, watched her tactical display in amazement. I never thought I'd say this, but we're watching a coordinated military operation by plankton. The Zixthay ship's bioorganic components, already compromised by the bacterial assault, began failing as the microscopic invaders disrupted their functioning. But this was just the beginning. In orbit, Commander Vexthor's scales shifted to emergency patterns as new alerts flooded his command center. Multiple hull breaches reported across the fleet. His tactical officer announced, "Some kind of. Are those spiders?" Naira, the bioweapon specialist who had helped create this situation, studied the readings with professional fascination. They've engineered a collaborative effort between jumping spiders and web-building species. The jumpers are placing precision charges, while the web builders create support structures. It's beautiful, actually. Indeed, Earth's arachnids had found their calling in the resistance. Enhanced jumping spiders, their already impressive cognitive abilities now vastly expanded, worked with orb weavers to infiltrate and disable Zixthay technology. Their silk, strengthened by symbiotic bacteria, could now conduct electrical charges and disrupt alien circuitry. But the true masterstroke came from an unexpected quarter. The world's corvids, crows, ravens, and magpies had organized a global network of surgical strike teams. These birds, already known for their intelligence, had become tactical geniuses. Shadowing, a raven commanding the North American aerial operations, coordinated with wolf packs on the ground through the fungal network. The Zixthay never adapted their sensors to track multiple species working in concert. He explained to military observers, "They're still trying to fight us as separate entities." In the Amazon, the counteroffensive took an even more surprising turn. The enhanced leaf-cutter ants, working with local fungi, had developed a way to rapidly decompose Zixthay biotech materials. Entire alien installations began literally dissolving as millions of ants deployed their new weapons. Dr. Maria Santos, observing from her research station, recorded in her journal, "Evolution itself has become a tactical weapon. Earth species are adapting to combat the invasion in real time, sharing successful mutations through the neural network." The Zixthay's orbital advantage began to crumble as their ship's bioorganic components failed under the orchestrated assault. Commander Vexthor watched in disbelief as his mighty invasion force was systematically dismantled by creatures he had once considered primitive. "They're not just fighting back," Naira observed, her scales showing patterns of scientific revelation. "They're innovating faster than we can respond. Every species brings its own unique approach to the battle, and they're all working in perfect synchronization." In Australia's outback, kangaroos had become mobile launch platforms for enhanced insects, while koalas, their usually slow metabolism now accelerated by the genetic changes, served as stationary observation posts. Even the platypus, that seemingly contradictory creature, had found its role. Their enhanced electroreception abilities could detect and disrupt Zixthay communication frequencies. The tide was turning, but the most extraordinary developments were yet to come. Deep in the Earth's oceans, whales had begun teaching ancient songs to the coral reefs. songs that, through their enhanced intelligence, became complex mathematical equations for disrupting Zixtai force fields. As the counteroffensive entered its second day, Commander Vexthor faced an uncomfortable realization. His force, which had conquered 17 worlds, was being defeated not by superior technology or military might, but by the unified will of an entire planet's ecosystem. "We thought we were attacking a world divided by species," he admitted to his war council, his scales now showing the deep blue of profound realization. "Instead, we've awakened a planetary consciousness. Every living thing on Earth has become part of a single, coordinated defense system." Dr. Rodriguez, receiving updates from species across the globe, summarized the situation for the United Nations. The Zixtai wanted to break Earth's bonds between species. Instead, they forced us to realize that we were never truly separate. From the largest whale to the smallest bacterium, we are all part of Earth's living system. And now, that system has awakened. As night fell over the battlefield, millions of species prepared for the final phase of their counteroffensive. The Zixtai were about to learn that on Earth, evolution itself was the ultimate weapon of war. The final battle for Earth began not with an explosion or a declaration, but with a song. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, a lone humpback whale started a melody that was quickly joined by others of its kind. Within hours, the song had spread to every ocean, carried by the enhanced marine network. But this was no ordinary whale song. It was a complex mathematical equation expressed through sound, the product of cetacean intelligence working in harmony with coral reef quantum calculations. Commander Vexthor, his flagship now one of the few remaining functional vessels in orbit, detected the anomaly too late. "What are they doing?" he demanded, watching as his sensors began displaying impossible readings. Naira, her scales now showing the precise pattern of scientific epiphany, understood first. They're not just communicating, they're reshaping local physics. The whales, the coral reefs, even the plankton. They're all acting as one vast biological quantum computer. The song grew stronger, and with it came the first visible effects. Zixtai force fields began flickering worldwide as Earth's unified biosphere executed the most sophisticated attack in planetary defense history. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, monitoring from the Global Command Center, watched in awe as reports flooded in from around the world. "Every species is playing its part," she announced to the assembled Human-Animal Council. "Even the fungi are contributing computational power through their mycelial networks." In orbit, Vexthor's flagship suddenly lost power as millions of microscopic tardigrades, their already legendary resilience enhanced by the genetic changes, began dismantling its bioorganic components at the molecular level. These microscopic warriors had been delivered by an unlikely alliance, eagles carrying spider silk packets of the enhanced water bears, coordinated by a network of corvids. "Impossible," Vexthor whispered, watching his mighty invasion force crumble before what he had once considered primitive life forms. "How can they be so coordinated?" The answer came from every corner of the planet. In the Arctic, polar bears and seals executed precision strikes on grounded Zixtai vessels. In the Amazon, jaguars led squadrons of poisoned dart frogs in neutralizing alien ground forces. African elephants, their enhanced intelligence now matched by tactical brilliance, coordinated continent-wide resistance movements through infrasound networks. But perhaps most surprisingly, it was Earth's smallest inhabitants that dealt the final blow. The planet's bacteria and viruses, their evolutionary processes accelerated by the Zixtai's own bioweapon, had developed the ability to reprogram alien biotechnology. Every Zixtai weapon and defense system began turning against itself. "We didn't just enhance their intelligence," Naira realized, watching the catastrophe unfold. "We gave them access to 4 billion years of evolutionary experience. They're not just fighting us. They're out-evolving us." In New York, a squirrel named Zigzag, who had become one of the Resistance's most effective urban warfare coordinators, summed up the situation to a human military officer. "You never understood us before. We weren't just animals living alongside you. We were all part of Earth's immune system. The sixth eye just woke us up. The final hours of the invasion played out across every ecosystem on the planet. Termites collapsed underground alien bunkers while beetles dismantled their technology. Dolphins and whales created impenetrable sonar barriers around Earth's oceans. Birds of every species maintained aerial supremacy through complex tactical formations that no alien computer could predict. Commander Vexthor, his flagship now the last surviving Sixth-Day vessel, received a transmission from Earth. To his surprise, it came not from human military command, but from a joint council representing every species on the planet. "You came to our world believing diversity was a weakness," spoke Thunder, the sperm whale, his words translated through the enhanced communication network. "You thought separate species meant separate loyalties. Instead," continued Luna, the tactical genius cat, "you helped us realize that Earth's greatest strength is its unity through diversity. Every species, every organism, plays its part in our planet's defense." Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward to deliver the final message. "This is your only warning. Earth is not a collection of species to be conquered. We are one living system, and we will defend ourselves as such." Vexthor, his scales showing the deep purple of complete surrender, understood at last. His empire had not just been defeated, they had fundamentally misunderstood the nature of life itself. Earth had shown them that true strength comes not from domination, but from cooperation. As the last Sixth-Day ship retreated from Earth's orbit, the planet's species began the work of rebuilding and strengthening their new bonds. The invasion had changed them forever, but not in the way their enemies had intended. Instead of breaking Earth's species apart, it had united them as never before. In the years that followed, Earth became known throughout the galaxy not as a conquered world, but as a place where life itself had evolved beyond the comprehension of would-be conquerors. The planet where every species, from the smallest bacterium to the largest whale, stood together as one living system. And in the end, the Sixth-Day's greatest weapon had become Earth's greatest gift, the ability to truly understand and communicate across all forms of life. They had come to divide and conquer, but instead had united and awakened a force beyond their imagination, the living Earth itself.